Good morning, friends. Thank you for joining the training session for today. I appreciate you taking the time from a busy schedule and joining the Desktop Central training. So before I move on, first and foremost thing, I like to get a quick confirmation from your end whether you are able to hear my voice and view the presentation. So you can confirm me by commenting on the chat as yes for both audio as well as the presentation. I'll just wait for a couple of guys to confirm me. After that, we'll move on. All right, I got the confirmation. So let's move on. So first and foremost thing I like to touch is on the training schedule. So as you know, this is a 7-week training series where 3 weeks already completed. Today is week 4, where we're going to cover the remote control module of Desktop Central. These are being attended or presented in 2 different time zones. First is 6:30 a.m. GMT, which is already covered. Second is right now at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by the remaining topics as per the date and time shown in the screen. So all these training videos will be recorded and will be published in our website. We'll also share you the link. Who have registered will get the link to go to that later on. As well as you can also go to desktopcentral.com/training.html to view that later on. So let me introduce myself. My name is Jay Kishan Podar, Senior Technical Consultant, and I'm associated with Desktop Central with ManageEngine for almost 10 years now. And I will be trainer for today, where I'm going to talk on the remote control module and different set of tools offered by Desktop Central and how you can leverage in your environment. All right, so let's have a quick look on the agenda for today. So first, the overview, what is remote control, how does it really works in the back end, and then I have taken few scenarios which we came across to better explain the features which are offered by the product. So case like, we have a situation where you need to resolve the help desk ticket where the end user has raised a request to install Adobe Acrobat application as well as Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So how to troubleshoot that. Then another ticket where the end user has raised a system slowness issue. So how we can make use of existing tools. Then as IT manager, he wants to implement certain IT policies on his desktops, laptops, how to do that. And then one of the scenarios or event like Exchange server is down and you want to notify the users about it. So how to leverage Desktop Central in that scenario. And then different scenarios and solutions which we came across based on our experience, followed by the questions at last. So if any point of time you have any questions or doubts, feel free to put in the chat section. I have an expert panel sitting next to me who will be answering your questions then and there. And we're also going to collect all the questions which are raised during the presentation. I'll try to share it towards the end of the presentation for the larger audience as much as possible. All right, so as of now, you can take a remote control of any machine which is running on Windows OS platform as well as Apple Mac OS. I'd like to talk more on this Desktop Central architecture, a quick walkthrough, so you can understand the product architecture better, who guys have just started using the product. So Desktop Central is a client-server architecture-based application where you need to install the agents on all the machines which you wish to manage. So you'll have a Desktop Central server running in your head office, and you have a client running locally in your LAN. And they will communicate to the server to check for any task available for the deployment. If you have any branch offices, remote sites, then we recommend to have you distribution servers placed on the remote site for the bandwidth control. So basically, if you have a distribution server, it will replicate to the central server and replicate those patches and the software from the main server to local DS machine and distribute to the remote office machines out there. If you have any mobile users, that means the guys who travel a lot or work from home, you can even manage them over the internet via NAT, that is Network Address Translation, by opening certain ports on your firewall. So that's a quick overview on the architecture. Next is the ports used by Desktop Central. So there are different set of ports, so like we do support HTTP as well as HTTPS secure ports and the TCP ports. So the different set of components involved in the product, and there are certain ports used for every respective component. If you want to know more on the ports, you can just go to desktopcentral.com/ports to get more information. Next, I'd like to talk here is on 90-minute refresh policy. So you might wonder, what is this 90 minutes policy? So this is the agent-server communication time interval where the agent checks in every 90 minutes with the server for any task available for deployment. So let's imagine that you're managing around 900 computers in your network, and all of them are contacting the server at the same time, which might choke up your network bandwidth. At the same time, it might even impact the server CPU performance, which you don't really want as a system admin. So to handle this scenario, the Desktop Central has this intelligence, or I would say the feature of 90 minutes policy, where it will have intelligence to streamline or distribute this agent-server communication in a uniform way. So within first minute, only 10 machines will communicate to the main server and take the task and execute, followed by the next minute where the next set of 10 machines will communicate to the server and take the job and execute. And so on. Within 90 minutes, all the 900 computers will communicate to the main server and take the job and execute on the respective client machines. So therefore, this is how the distribution of the task will be done in a streamlined manner without impacting your network bandwidth or impacting your server performance. So that's what the 90 minutes policy is all about. Next, I'd like to talk here is how remote control works. So how it does goes through what is the workflow in the back end. So as soon as the technician logins to Desktop Central tools, once he clicks on connect, to the respective machines which you want to take a remote access, the communication, what happens, it sends a request from the viewer machine to the main Desktop Central server, where you have a component called notification server running on port 8027, listens to the request, and that forwards the request to the target client machine, where the target client, we have a DC agent running. So agent listens to the request and it initiates the remote control service locally, which captures the images and sends back to the server, where another component, the gateway component, listens to the request and it forwards back to the Technician 1 viewer screen. So that's how the Technician 1 can see the end user machine on his laptop. Now in another scenario where just in case we have another technician who wants to join the same existing session. So we do support multi-viewer or collaborative mode where another technician can join in the same session. So let's assume the Technician 2 logs in his machine and clicks on connect. It forwards the request to the main server, where the gateway component listens to the request, and it has the intelligence to detect the existing session and just forwards the same images back to the Technician 2 screen. And that's how the viewer 2 or Technician 2 can see the same session or target machine screen. So that's the workflow on remote control in the back end. All right, so now to explain the different features or remote control functionalities, I have taken a scenario, a situation where a help desk ticket needs to be resolved, where the end user, Bob, who is one of the employee of the company, has sent a request to the help desk, his IT help desk. So in service desk, the ticket is getting assigned to one of the technician called John. So John logs into the SDP and he opens the ticket and he finds there are two different tasks which he has to perform. The first is installing of Adobe Acrobat application, and second is the Wi-Fi connectivity issue which he needs to troubleshoot. So these are the two tasks which you need to perform to help resolve the ticket. So now how John leveraged the Desktop Central application in resolving both of these tasks. So to show that, I will take you live to the product which is running locally here. So I have a setup. So for a better understanding, I'm going to log in as John the technician itself. All right, once you log in, this is how the product looks like. So first we go to Tools, Remote Control. And now I need to search for the technician, or sorry, the employee who has raised the request. So since the request came from Bob, I'm gonna type name Bob in the username, and I find that this Bob has been logged in to the machine PCOSDW10. Now before connecting, I need to ensure that the machine is up and running. It is live. So if you see just before the machine name, there's a green icon and it says agent live status up and running. So it's good to go to connect. Now I see there are two different technicians log in the same machine. I need to ensure that I'm connecting only to the Bob session. So next to the connect button, you see there's three different dots. That will show up the different technicians or the employees accounts which are logged in on that machine. So before connecting to Bob, I need to show some other options, like there are two different type of viewers which you can make use of. First is the HTML5, second is the ActiveX. So our recommendation is to use HTML5 viewer, which is much more advanced and it's feature rich. The other option I want to talk about here is the provision to prompt the user for confirmation. So if you check this box and then click on connect, it will ask for the permission from the end user before granting the access. That is something based on organization. If you want, you can enable that, or if not, you can just uncheck and click on connect. So for now, I'm gonna go without the permission. So as soon as click on connect, you see there's a pop-up which shows the reason to connect, why you need to take a remote of that machine. So in a lot of organizations like financial institutes or military or government institutes, there's a best practice or guidelines to always, get the reason, or auditing, in other words, for the technicians. So why need to take a remote of the machine? It's always better to mention the reason. So for now, I'm gonna mention the two different tasks which I need to perform. It's always recommended to have a proper reason or text mention on that. All right, just a matter of few seconds, I have successfully connected to Bob's machine. Now for better clarity, I'm gonna go into the full screen mode. The left-hand side, if you notice, there are different set of actions which you can perform. So I'm gonna just reset the size to full screen. All right. So now coming back to my ticket, the first and foremost thing was Bob requested of installing Adobe Acrobat application. Now since Adobe Acrobat is a commercial app, most of the time I keep my software packages or binaries on one of the company's network share. So I need to go and access the share folder to copy the file from this. So I'm going to the Explorer and click on it. And due to some reason, I see, I've clicked on the Explorer, but I cannot see the pop-up. The reason because it might be the end user is running multiple screens or dual monitor. Not a problem. We do have a function to switch monitor. Then go to the second screen, and here it is. Here is the pop-up. All right. So that's how I can switch the monitor. Now, since this is a internal network share, I somehow am not comfortable, in exposing this to the end user. So is this somewhere I can hide or block the access? Yes, we do have again the functionality built in where you can black out the screen so end user cannot see what you're doing. Just go under actions. We have different set of features which you can make use of. So I'll go for blacken the monitor. What happens here? In this case, the end user will not be able to see what I'm going to do after this. That's it. The screen completely black out. And now I can go to the network share and I can access my file. So I don't quite remember the exact location. I have kept it 1 minute. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to network share. Where the Adobe package is placed. So mind you, this is right now the screen is completely black out. The end user is not able to view what I'm doing here. So this is the Adobe package, and I got the base file. Now, since it's a commercial app, during the installation, I somehow found that it requires a license key, or the license text file, which is again somehow not in network share, but that is something there in my local machine. So can I just quickly transfer a file? Yes, you can do that. Even for that, we have a function built in. In left-hand side, you have a file transfer functionality. Just click on that, and I can very well select which file I need to transfer. So I go to the administrator, desktop, and select the file, and the target machine where I want to save it. So I'll go to the Bob user, desktop, and that's in a matter of few seconds. It is successfully transferred. And I can switch back to the screen one. All right, here you go. So that's successfully copied the file. So now let's assume that with the help of this file, I have successfully installed the Adobe Acrobat application. So now I'll go to the next requirement of troubleshooting of Wi-Fi connectivity issue, which is reported. I need to fix that. So for the basic as Wi-Fi connectivity issues, first and foremost thing, we check the network settings. So based on my limited knowledge, I somehow troubleshooted the issue on the Wi-Fi, but somehow I was not able to resolve it or fix the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. I want somehow a next level help to get in and someone to fix it. So I have my colleague, a senior colleague, Peter, who is more expert or knowledgeable in troubleshooting the network related issues, and I like to have his help in resolving this ticket. So is there a way Peter can log in on the same session and help me out? The answer is yes, he can do that. So for that, let's assume I made a call to Peter, and I'm going to log in as Peter. So I have another setup. I'll just use another browser just for you guys to have better understanding. So I'm logging as Peter. And I'm going to go to Tools. This is all I'm doing is real time. I'm just going in real time. These are tools. I see the session running. I'm just going to click on View Desktop. And that's it. You can see I've successfully connected. So by default, it will be only view-only mode for the first time. So if I need to take a remote, I need to go and click on the active mode. So now I have a full control of the machine as a Peter. So let's assume that, Peter, again, you have a quick launch. He goes to the command prompt, and, with his expertise, he works on that Wi-Fi connectivity issue. He's just resetting the connections. And with the help of his expertise, he was able to fix the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. But somehow he mentioned that it requires a reboot. All right, so we're done with the Peter's help, so he can very well leave the session. And I'm going back to my existing session as John. So now as Peter informed me that he has successfully fixed the Wi-Fi connectivity issue, but it does require a reboot to take it effect. Now, if you remember, I need to, since it's a production hours, I cannot right away go and reboot the machine. I need to inform the end user about it, and I need to take permission. So first and foremost thing, I'm going to revoke the blackout so that, end user can see what you have done. And now I need to inform the end user that we're going to reboot his machine. So instead of calling and disturbing him, I can make use of inbuilt chat functionality. I'm just going to mention him in the chat that we have done the changes, and is it okay for him to reboot now. So I'm just going to use the chat. I already have the text ready, just not to waste time. So what I mentioned here is we have successfully installed Adobe Acrobat app, as well as fixed his Wi-Fi connectivity issue. All you need is to reboot the machine whether he's okay with that. So I'm just going to wait for his permission. All you need to do is say me as yes and go ahead. So again, depends, sometimes the end user is there on the screen. I'm waiting for him. All right, so we successfully got the permission. I'm going to close the chat session now. All right then, so we are done with the reboot. So anyway, this is going to disconnect the session. I'm going back to my presentation now. So just to recap, that how I real-time made use of the features which are built in. So like first is a user permission to get a permission of end user to allow the access. Second was use of HTML5 viewer, which has advanced features built in. Then how we use the background out of monitor or locking of keyboard and mouse for better control, and the file transfer, and then the multi-viewer for collaborative mode. So both the technician, how they work in the same session and help resolve the ticket. So these are different set of features which are built in the remote control. I would like to go to the point number 2, or I would say a different scenario where the same technician, John, has got another ticket where the troubleshooting of system slowness. So the end user has raised a concern that his machine is a bit slow from last couple of days, and he wants John to look into it and help resolve. So in case of system slowness, there are different set of troubleshooting. So analysis we do, first and foremost thing, we check the task manager, right, to check which CPU or which particular process is consuming high memory consumption, as well as you can check the services. We also have built-in check disk cleanup for hard drive performance improvement, and we also have recently launched remote command prompt and event viewer logs. So let me take you to the product and show you how you can make use of these tools to troubleshoot or do an offline troubleshooting. So I'll take you to the tools. First and foremost thing is a system manager. This is a tool where you can get the complete information. So I go to the machine and click on manage. So there are different set of features which you can make use of. I'll go with the process details. So I'll do a quick scan to find out what are the current processes running on that machine right now. And all right, you can see this. You get the complete list of process. I can very well sort it out based on the process name or process ID, as well as I can even sort it out based on the CPU uses. If required, I can even kill the process. If something you ever seen unwanted process running, I can kill that out. Other thing, we have a services built in, which I can also remotely check. So what are the current services running? What are the status? If required, I can even remotely restart or stop the service. Even I can change the mode of the service if required. Then another feature recently we launched is a remote command prompt. So you can very well, perform any kind of remote command, so just to help in troubleshooting. Then we have event viewer log. So you can get complete log information. So you have different set of logs which we pull up on application level logs, or security logs, or system logs, as well as we have now Kaspersky. In case you're running Kaspersky AV, we have event logs for that, or I logs. So most of the case it's application and system, which is much more useful. You can even filter the event log. So if you have a specific requirement, or just in case you want to know only the critical and error, you can sort it out based on that. You can even export into PDF if required. So I'm going to remove that. Then the next is a printer. So what are the printers mapped to this machine? What are the groups, local groups or member details, local administrative member details can be seen in the same page. The list of softwares which have been installed on the machine, followed by the local users which are mapped on this machine. So the overall idea here is in one single pane of glass, you get complete details of that machine. The process information, the services details, remote command prompt execution, event log details, printer information, group details, software information, user details. Everything can be accessed from this view. So let's imagine that, I went through everything, but somehow I was not able to find, which might or really cause the system slowness. So next thing which I may doubt is the hard drive itself, or the hard drive performance itself. So for that we have a system tools, which has a built-in Windows maintenance tools. So I'll just modify of one of the existing tasks, where you can perform the check disk and disk cleanup and defrag. These are three handy tools which are built in, which will definitely help in improving the hard drive performance. So I'm going to schedule a job for tonight, and I can select what are the volumes I want to perform the check disk, what should be the mode I want to use, the verbose mode or just a quick check, as well as I can select what are the files which I want to clean up. So only the temp files or the Windows log level files, backup files, recycle bin. There are different list of options based on my requirement. I can decide what are the files I want to clean up. And then the defrag. So what are the drives which I want to perform? So by default C and D, and there are different options available. So what should be the operation type? You just want to perform the analysis alone, or you want to analyze and defrag both of them in the particular task. Then what should be the priority set? So it depends again when you want to perform this job, whether on working hours or non-working hours. So in case of low priority, there will be less system resources consumed. So it will limit the defragmentation impact. Whereas in normal priority, the system resource will be used high. So if you're scheduling during working hours, then you can set for low priority. If you're doing non-working hours, then go for normal priority. And then the defrag mode. So you just want to use the verbose mode, which actually performs or outputs the complete fragmentation statistics details of each volume. So you get more details what exactly happened on that. So you have all the options available based on the requirement. You can decide and then specify the target. So on which machines you want to perform this task. So you can set to a local office, or if you want, you can set for entire domain. And you can do a sub-filter. So you can be very specific which machines you want to perform this task on a particular OU or a AD group or list of machines or dynamic custom groups, IP range, or specific OS type. So you have all the flexibility based on the requirement. You can set your defined target machines. And then the scheduler. So since it's an administrator level task, you need to perform the credentials, to specify the credentials. And you have some conditions like, run only when the user is logged in, or run with the highest privilege. You also have a triggering this basically the timing, how frequently you want to perform. You want to go on daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, once a month, or at every startup. Then you can also have advanced settings like delay the task for 60 minutes, or you can set the expiry date of the job. Same, we can also set some conditions, like start the task if the computer is idle for, let's say, 30 minutes, as well as, so it depends, it can be even 2 hours or 3 hours and then initiate the job. Same in power management, wake up the computer to run this task. So you have all the options based on the requirement. You can decide which one suits better for your organization. And just click on finish. That's it. When the job is done, you can come, next you can come in, you can see the status. So for now, since I've scheduled this job for Bob tonight, since he reported the behavior of system slowness, so what I've done, I've successfully scheduled this job for tonight, and I want Bob next day when he comes back to the office, to observe the behavior of his machine and let him inform me that what's the status about it. So I can very well just quickly make use of the chat functionalities. So instead of calling and disturbing him, I can again leverage the chat and inform him that we have performed or made these changes, and you just need to update me tomorrow on the status. Again, I have a text ready with me, so I'm just going to quickly send this status. So this is more just kind of information about what are the things I have done on his machine, and he is supposed to update me tomorrow on his ticket status. So again, I'm using the built-in chat functionality rather than calling and disturbing him. So everything is what we're doing is offline without disturbing the end user. So we're just waiting for his confirmation. So whatever tools I've shown here is more on the live environment, how we use the different set of options available when we connect to the machine, how to make use of different tools which are built in the remote control, as well as other options in the tools section. So Bob may not be near in his machine, so I'll just close out for now. Just for your explanation, we also have built-in chat, which you can leverage. All right, going back to my presentation. So, I've shown you how to make use of different set of tools which are being offered and, helping in troubleshooting the system slowness issue. So that brings to end of the topic number 2. Now I'll move on to the next topic, which is enforcing IT policy. So as IT manager, recently I have got the requirement, or of late I've noticed that the energy bills, of my company are going very high. And I got instructions to somehow bring down the power consumptions of the systems which are running on my network. So I want to implement IT policies or power management policies where I want to turn off the machines during unwanted or non-business hours. So somehow I want to schedule the remote shutdown at every night and wake up those machines on next day morning. So how it can be achieved with Desktop Central. So it can be done with our built-in tools. We have a remote shutdown as well as wake online tool which is built in, and it does support the schedule mode. So let me take you to the product and show you how to achieve that requirement. So once again, I'm going to tools. First and foremost, I'm going to go for remote shutdown, since I need to schedule the job for shutting down the machine every night. So I can just come here, I can do an on-demand immediate shutdown if required, if there's a need. I can just need to add the machine, select the machine, I can do a shutdown now. Or other actions like I want to restart or hibernate or lock the machine, it can be done. But my requirement is on scheduling this shutdown process. So I already have one job created for that. I'm just going to modify and show you. So first and foremost, I need to give the task name. Then I have operations type, so I want to go for shutdown. And there's certain options which I can configure based on my need. The first and foremost is do not disturb if the user is logged in. So if someone is still working, it will be skipped for them. Or allow the user to skip the postpone the operation, so even end user can skip that shutdown process. Or as administrator, if you want to force the shutdown, no matter whether somebody is logged in or not, and you can give some time, so that they can save the data. And I can customize the message window title as well as the content of the message, anything you want to display to the end user. So you have all three options. Based on need, you can decide which one works better for you. I would personally like to go for force shutdown and give some timeout value. And then you can select the target machine. So I can go for an entire domain. I can specific to the machines or based on custom groups. And then the scheduler. So since this is a daily requirement, I'm going to move on daily basis. And I can select the time, from when I want to start it. So this is March, so I can go for, let's say, from tomorrow on daily basis and save the job. That's it. So next day I can come here, I can see the status. Now next is the wake on LAN. So I've already set a job to shut down the machine at every night at 9 p.m. Now I can make use of wake on LAN tool where I need to wake up the machine on schedule. I can even do an immediate wake up. The same goes. You can select the machines and do a wake up now, or I can go for a schedule wake up. So again, I'm going to modify the existing job, which I've already created. The same task name. By default, we use UDP port 7 for wake on LAN. And there are different set of computers, so you can select which machines. Basically, the same set of machines which you added in the shutdown. And then the scheduler. So it should be the morning basis, let's say morning 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and save it. That's it. So with a combination of these two tools, I can implement the policy of shutting down the machine every night, same way, turning on the wake on LAN on every morning. There are certain prerequisites for wake on LAN, like if you're doing on different subnets, the broadcast should be allowed. And if you're going for different remote offices, you need to ensure that at least one machine is alive in that remote office or in that subnet. So those things you have to ensure on network level. All right, so these two jobs are being scheduled, are already been set, and they're running. But how do I really know whether it's really helping me out or not? So for that, we have a built-in report that is a power management reports. You go to reports, left-hand side you have patch reports, power management reports, and go to system uptime reports. So this report gives me complete information, like what is the total uptime and what is the total downtime of the machines which are managing. So I can go to summary view, so I have a list of all the machines. And so what I do see is the total downtime. This should go up after, you implement the policy. You can also go for a detailed view, where if you want to see specific machine level information, like what time it was started, what time it was ended, even that can be viewed. You can also filter the data based on, different domains or specific custom groups or different time period. Let's say you want just last 1 month data. You can filter that and export into PDF. So overall, this system uptime report will give you better visibility of, whether the power policies which you implemented, IT policy which you implemented is really working or not. All right, that brings to the end of topic number 3. Now I'll go for topic number 4, where this is more of a scenario or situation, where Exchange server, Microsoft Exchange server is down, which is definitely a level 1, or level 5 critical issue. So now again, for this you cannot really send the emails to end users, right, to inform about it, since the mail server itself is down. So how to inform the end users? So for that we have a built-in tool called announcement, with the help of which you can very well make a quick configuration and they'll show the pop-up on the end user machine. So you can create a new announcement. I'm just going to modify existing one. I can set the announcement title which you want to show up, and the body content, the message which I want to display. Just like is to inform that we are aware of the Exchange server is down and we are working on it, not to raise any additional IT help desk tickets or calling our support numbers. So just in case you're giving a quick message to them or a shout out to them, and you can set the frequency, so you want to just show only once, or you can set multiple times, let's say every 15 minutes. I can even set the time frame, so you want to start this announcement right away, and or till next maybe 2 hours or next 6 hours, based on the severity and criticality of the issue you can decide, and to whom, whether it's affected domain company-wide or specific users or groups alone. So based on the affected users, I can set the target and save it. So that's it. So what happens, immediately they get a pop-up on the screen, and the announcement or the notification, the message is conveyed to them. This is just one of the scenarios. The other scenarios also, let's say, like printer is down, for a particular flow. So you can make use of that scenario. So just set up a message that printer is down, we are working on it. Or maybe a planned scheduled maintenance, like a file drill, which is planned for this weekend. You can also make announcement with that. Or maybe a business server is down. So there are a lot of different examples, which you can leverage to make use of the announcement from inbuilt tool. Now, just to have a better visibility, this is how the end user, pop-up will look like on their machine when you use the announcement. So you'll have a message title and the body content. All right, so that brings to the different topics which I like to share. Now I'll move on to the scenarios and solutions. So if you have any questions or doubts so far, feel free to put in the chat. All right, so scenario number 1, how do I measure the time spent by technicians who are handling the tickets related to desktops? Okay, all right, so this is more of a, I think, question with a scenario where the employees or our customers who are using both Service Desk Plus or Help Desk ticketing tool as well as the Desktop Central. So if you're having Service Desk Plus, we do have option where whenever you take a remote of a machine, you can put the ticket ID. So before that, you need to ensure when you enable the integration Service Desk Plus settings, you have enabled the option add the work log, notes and resolution for remote connection. this box should be checked. And after that, when you take a remote access, when you go for tool, as soon as you click on connect, it's going to ask for the request ID. So you need to ensure that whatever ticket ID which you're working on, is inserted here. So automatically it will start logging, and as soon as you end that, it will have information on the ticket. Let me see if I have a local SDP setup running. I'm not quite sure. These are lab machines. So basically on the ticket, you'll have a work log. You have to go to the task where you'll have the information. So I have the SDP. I'm going to log into that. So I'll go to the request. So this is something which, assuming that he has already given the ticket ID while connecting. So I'll request a name, let's say Bob, and let's say go for this particular ticket. So on the task, as soon as you end the session, we basically have a work log information here. That will show how much time he has spent on the ticket. You also have reports for that to know more information. There are other features too, like you can also take a remote access of that machine, from service desk itself, if required. We do have, a separate session schedule, for specifically where we talk about DC and SDP integration and what are the different features and functionalities offered, or what are the advantage on that. That is something coming up next week after 2 weeks. So you can get more information on that scenario. In scenario number 2, we'd like to monitor the activities of the students in our school without their knowledge. Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. So for that, let me take you to the Desktop Central. You go to Tools, Remote Control, Settings tab, and on that you find something called View Only Mode. So if you check this box and click on Connect, what it does, it's something a kind of read-only mode. So you can only see what the technician is doing on his machine. Sorry, what the end user is doing on his machine. But you cannot take control of the end user machine. It's kind of like a big brother, watching on the machine. So you should be very careful if you want to use this functionality. However, they will be auditing, who has initiated that. So we have all the logging for that too. The next scenario is we are a healthcare company that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. All right, yes, we do have one of the HIPAA compliant guidelines which we support. So that is something user confirmation. So as per HIPAA compliant, protecting the user privacy is very important. And one of the guidelines which we follow is, if you want, you can enable the user confirmation for every remote session. You can make it as a permanent. So no matter whichever technician take control of any machine, it will ask for the permission from end user. Until they grant the permission, it will not connect. You can even exclude certain machines from that if you want, like a CIO or IT manager machines, you can do that. And once it is enabled, once it is made it permanent, it cannot revert on your own. You need to contact our support team for that. So this is one of the HIPAA compliant which we support. Next scenario is installing and configuring IIS on a remote machine is complex. I want to document the process and use it as a training material for our newcomers. Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. So again, we do have a feature called screen recording. So every remote session the technician has taken or connected to the machine, everything will be recorded. So you just need to enable the settings, and you can decide which codec you should use. You can even decide the frames per second as well as the color quality. You want to bring it to high or low. And you can set the configuration like delete the recorded files if in case it exceeds, let's say, more than 3 GB or 5 GB of size. You can also have an enable user notification so that the end users are notified or been informed that this session has been recorded. So that's how the screen recording functionality can be used. Next is I find my remote sessions are slow when I'm accessing a computer in a different country or for roaming users. How do I fix it? Okay, so as mentioned that they are running, they're running the clients on out of the states or different country, or they are working from home or traveling with a low bandwidth line. So it's pretty much expected to have a bit of lag, but anyway, you can still have a performance. We have some settings which you can tweak. Go to the performance tab, select the remote office, let's say the roaming user, and you can set the action. You can move the compression to fast, and you can bring down the color quality to, let's say, to medium or low. By default, it will be in true color and best. You can try moving to fast and color quality to low and save it. Definitely you'll find a bit of improvement on the performance of remote control. Next scenario is one of the employees suspect an unauthorized remote access to his or her machine and has raised it to IT manager. Is there a way to audit the remote connections to her machine? Yes, it is. It is possible. So as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, every remote session taken by the technician or admin is been logged. So we have complete auditing of that. If you go to the history tab, it will have a complete information like which technician took control of which machine, what was the start time, what was the end time. And you can also have a viewer IP, so from which IP the remote session was initiated. And if in case you have a recording enabled, you can download the video file from here. So complete information will be found from the history tab. You can also export into PDF or CSV or XLS format. So that's a complete auditing for you. But that brings to the end of the scenarios and solutions. So now let's move on to the questions round. So just give a few seconds for my team to quickly update the questions. Just have so that we can collaborate and get all the questions which are raised during the session. So anything which you like to add so far, you can put in the chat. All right, so I got the questions ready. So first question, I'm running Desktop Central iOS app on my iPad. Can I initiate remote control via app? Okay, so yes, it is possible. So for larger audience, first of all, Desktop Central does have a iOS app, which is available, which you can download from the Play Store, and you can also initiate the remote control from that. So first, let me show you in the product where you can download it. So go to the admin tab, your mobile app, and you can download from the Play Store or from the Apple App Store. You have all the information, the details, the credentials. So for iOS apps, as of now for iOS app, you can log into Desktop Central and you can initiate a remote control from an iOS app itself. So I have just screenshots to get you more familiar. So this is the iPad, which is having the Desktop Central app running. So you log into Desktop Central and left hand side you have remote control. And then that will show the list of computers which you're managing. So let's assume this is the machine I want to take a remote. You click on the computer icon and that will give you a pop-up, which will ask for the reason to connect. So you just mention your text and just click on connect. After that, the next screen will be shown are the instructions basically, so how to tap, how to press and drag, how to pinch in, how to long press. So this is just for your information, so you get more familiarized on how to use it. And then last, once it is connected successfully, this is how it will look like. And so left hand side again, you'll have all the shortcuts or actions which you can make use of. You can also use a keyboard if you want. So this is how it will look like once it is connected successfully from the iPad. All right, hope that answers question number 1. Move on to next question is, my remote control screen shows port 8443 conflict. How do I resolve it? Yes, so first and foremost, the port 8443 is a default remote control port which is used by the product. Now, there are two things. Either you can troubleshoot and see. You can run the netstat command and you can find out which process or application is using the port 8443, and you can either kill the process or free up the port. And if not, if you're not able to free up the port or is used by some other app, you can also change that. So you can go to remote control, you go to the settings tab, you scroll down on the port settings, you'll find the gateway port, which is 8443. Now you can change it from here. You can either move it to any, let's say, unsecured port, or you have any specific port which you like to use. You can specify that and click on save. Okay, so those are information. The next question is, remote control works for all Windows machines but not Mac. How could I see that desktop central agent is installed on these computers? Patch and asset scan works. Why not remote control? Okay, so the question here is like only the remote control is failing on Mac and rest everything is working fine. Okay, the reason might be because of the JRE. So if you're not running the latest Java JRE on the Mac, your remote control connection may get failed. So you need to ensure that you're running the latest Apple JRE on the Mac machine. Please check on that. Next question is, does the screen recording needs to be turned on before you establish the remote control session, or it can be turned on during the session? Well, it has to be done prior to the session. You cannot do on demand, during the session. It has to be done before you connect. Next question is, to allow multiple techs to work on the same remote connection, does that require additional license from ManageEngine? Well, technically, no. You do not need any additional license. You can use the same credentials, and you can log in with the admin account, and both the technicians can work on it. But as a best practice, or recommendation, we always suggest to, if in case you have multiple technicians, multi admins, it's better to purchase additional license so that you can have better accountability. You have better auditing, better tracking of the ownership, which technician has done what. So we do suggest to get a multi-technician license, but technically it's not required. Now, question number 6, will the remote control automatically reconnect after the reboot of during the session? Yes, the answer is yes. So if you're running the latest build, or in fact the recent builds, it will reconnect automatically. If you're running DC 10 and above, we have successfully handled the scenario. In the older builds, previous build, it was not the case, but now we have supporting the reconnect. Next is it possible to take remote control of a roaming user if the user is at home without VPN tunnel? Okay, so this, I think I've touched this topic on when I was discussing the desktop central architecture. The answer is yes. So for that, there's some prerequisites. You need to first, do certain prerequisites on a network level. You need to do a NATing on a firewall. You have to open certain ports, and you need to install the WAN agents on those roaming users, so that they can communicate to the server. As long as you have a WAN agents running and they are communicating to the server over the internet, you can take remote control of those machines without any problem. In fact, all the functionalities can be performed. The next is, if you have a keyboard and mouse disabled, does it automatically disable it for the new text sharing the session? If you leave the remote session and forgot to re-enable the mouse and keyboard, will it automatically get enabled for the user? Okay, so the answer is yes. So you don't need to worry. As soon as you disconnect the existing session, it will revert the changes automatically. So it will bring back to the older state, whatever the keyboard and mouse, so the end user can get control of his mouse and keyboard. You don't need to worry on that. And I just want to show a few other options, like on the settings, a few other things which you can make use of, like you have enabled the quick launch tray, you have option to disable the wallpaper arrow theme, you can black out the screen, you can disable the keyboard and mouse, and you also have a hide remote cursor just in case, if you have a disturbance while using the remote cursor, you can hide that. And there's certain options like idle session. So in the scenario again where you're working on this particular remote session and you want to move out, for a few minutes, you can configure the settings such a way that if it's idle, let's say more than 10 minutes, it should automatically disconnect the remote session. So this is how you can just, ensure that there is no unauthorized access been made to the existing session. So those are certain settings you can make use of. Right. Fine. And so that brings to the end of the set of questions which you have for today. I tried to cover most of them. Few of them which is not been covered will be, answered to you offline via email. So now, as soon as you end the training session, you're going to get a survey form. So I do request you guys to please fill up the survey form and rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. So I do appreciate your time and patience. Hope the training was useful, informative. So please feel free to share your suggestions, feedbacks, anything you like to see or like to add in our training session. I'll also request you to spread a word on our social media. If you want to tweet about us /ManageEngine, or put it to Facebook /ManageEngine, just love the desktop free training from ManageEngine. This is the word I'd like you to spread across so we can get more and more audience on a training program. And then I would just like to talk or share the next training schedule coming up next week on configurations, USB management, agent management, and server management. A whole lot of topics to touch there. A lot of interesting points we are going to share from our trainer, which is scheduled for 15th of March. So I do expect you guys to see you on the next training schedule. All right, great. Once again, thanks for your time. I do appreciate. Hope the training was informative, and you got a better knowledge on remote control and other tools offered. So yeah, thanks for time and cheers. Have a great day there.